In the name of Almighty God, dear students, good evening. This is your conversation class. So we start as usual with vocabulary book. So today or our today's session starts with lesson two or lesson three probably. So we start with a proverb here, which says, "Good words anoint a man." It means that if you're speaking well or if you're speaking properly, so it is really increasing your fame. So ill words kill a man. So it means that if you are talking ill words or if you're using foul language, so basically it decreases your fame. So we start with the first word, which is typical. So typical, the meaning of the word typical is usual or of a kind. So you can say that my typical day, or you can say my typical habit, or something like that. So these are the three sentences in which the word typical has been used. And number two, here we have got minimum. Minimum means the least possible amount or the lowest amount. So minimum means حد أقل. In Persian we say the least possible amount. For example, we can say the minimum time that I need to study conversation is, for example, 1 hour, you can say. So the word minimum has been used in these three sentences, A, B, C. You have to carefully go through these sentences and exactly see how the word minimum is used in the context. So number three, we have got scarce. Scarce means hard to get or rare, which means kamyoft, something which is really difficult to get it. So these are the sentences in which the word scarce is used. Number four, this is pronounced annual. Basically, it resembles annual. Most people pronounce it annual, but this is not annual. This is annual. Annual, any activity or anything that is taking place once a year. Yani Sali Akbar, something that appears yearly or lasts for a year. So coming to number five, persuade means basically win over to do or believe. So basically it means to encourage. Persuade means to encourage. Or make willing again. So we persuade somebody, it means that we are making somebody well. And number six, essential means necessary or very important. So we can say that, okay, I need an essential, for example, book, or we can say I bought a necessary book for my conversation. So number seven, blend. Blend means to combine two or many things together. You're mixing them together as a result that none of them is, for example, distinguishable. When you're blending them together, so you're making a single whole. So mixed together thoroughly means that you're mixing things completely. Thoroughly means completely. A mixture means a combination of something. So number eight, visible, anything which can be seen. Right. For example, we can say that, oh, what you are writing on the board is visible or is not visible. Number nine, we have got expensive. So expensive means costly or high priced, something that is you need to pay a lot in order to get it. So that is expensive. Talent. Talent means natural ability. So you have a potential ability in your body, which is called talent. Yani istedat. And number 11, device. See, this is not device. Device is, or device means basically instrument, but this is device means to invent or plan or think out. اختراع کردن. Number 12, we have got wholesale. Wholesale means in large quantity. Anything that you are dealing with in large quantity. Yani umda furushi. Less than retail in price. So whatever which is costing you less than retail in price, یعنی کمتر از قیمت پرچون اگر بر شما باشن, that is called wholesale. So you have to actually go through this text and you see how these words exactly are used in the context and how they are, for example, fitting in terms of parts of a speech. So everything is clear in the text. You go and evaluate so the meaning of the words, and probably you're facing many other words. Consult your dictionary. Down here, fill in the blanks. Again, you have got some blank spaces. You are employing the same words that you have studied above in these blank spaces. So here we have got creativity exercise. Now make up your own sentences. So here, Suppose that you have already gone through those words and you're right now familiar with them. You can use, for example, them in your own sentences. Number one, you can say, for example, you're using these words in a sentence. For example, the first word is typical. So you are employing the word typical down here, right here, because you are creating your own sentence here. You can say, oh, my typical day starts with having, for example, breakfast and then maybe going to, for example, a sport gym and then, okay, continuing. So the explanation of the process. You're using these words in your own sentences. Make sure that you're using the words properly, up to 12. Then here you have got a spotlight, so you have got some specific information about some of the words. For example, this is the word expensive. You will get some more definition about the word expensive, and even you can talk about the etymology or history of the word expensive. Who has created this word, and what was the context in which the word expensive was used, and then what was the exact date or year that this word came into existence. So these are all the things that the author is elaborating on some of the words. And here, picture it. Which of the words? So here, you have been given a scene here, right? So this is a scene, and then maybe this is a lady, and then she has lifted pants, and then maybe that is $125. So maybe you're talking about the price whether this is expensive or costly, whatever. So just guess what word is fitting here. So here at lesson, good words are worth much and cost little. We stop here. So now I move on to your conversation book. It is really difficult to teach your conversation as I am expecting you. But anyway, I'm just instructing you. You go through your book, and the audios are already shared with you. Just refer to the audios, and then accordingly, you have to proceed. So now we start your book. This is your book. If you remember, last time we studied up to page 5, chapter 1. So today we are, no, I think we were done with this chapter. Yes, we studied this chapter in watches, just the pronunciation. We studied this one. And I think we are on chapter 2, I guess. Yes, I think we're on chapter 2. So we start from chapter 2, visual art. Art that is seen, for example, painting, drawing, so many other, for example, types of arts that can be seen are called visual art. So about this chapter topics. Art forgery. Do you know forgery? Forgery means that to deceive or maybe to attribute the works of the others or artistic works of the others to yourself or making something fake. So forgery means taqallub or fake. And then camera obscura. So maybe right now that I'm teaching you, maybe you have problem with some of the words. But anyway, you have to check every individual word. For example, if you don't know camera obscura, so you have to refer to this. But here, camera obscura means that a small room or cottage in which photographers are taking photos. Listening texts. It's a conversation about art forgery. So in this lesson, or in this chapter, you will be listening to an audio or you will be listening to conversation about art forgery. So it will talk about different dimensions of art forgery. For example, how people are, for example, forging the works of the others. So, and moreover, it gives us some information how to actually guess whether this is a genuine piece of work or this is, for example, forged by somebody. And moreover, we will be listening to, for example, conversation about museum or museum talk about camera obscura, and then listening skill focus, reflecting on listening, right? So reflect here means that we have to think very deeply when we are listening, for example, to a piece of video or audio, whatever. And then a speaking skill focus, using expression to show interest. Yes, sometimes even if we are not, for example, directly showing whether we are satisfied with something or whether we are enthusiastic in something, interested or not, rather we are using some expressions in order to show or indicate our interest. Next one, vocabulary. So words related to art crime. Right. We will make ourselves familiar with certain vocabularies on art crime. For example, if somebody is forging for example, artistic works of the others, and if he or she is attributing them to him or herself, then what is the consequence of his activity or his action? And next, pronunciation, word stress with nouns in verbs. So moreover, we will be talking about word stress with nouns in verbs. For example, where exactly we are, for example, putting a stress pattern on a noun, and where are we placing a stress pattern on a verb. Specifically, if the noun form and verb form of, for example, certain verbs are the same. So how can we distinguish them? So now we start with introducing the topic. What is the topic basically? Look at the painting and discuss the questions with a partner. So probably guys, dear students, you probably do not have any partner at home, but what I am expecting you, you have to actually act out or play the role of two people. Right. Suppose that once you are acting out as Ahmad and second time you are acting out as yourself. Suppose that you are a partner of yourself. So simply you're practicing as if you are two people or as if your partner is present there. So down here you have got some questions and then you are elaborating on them and playing the role of two people here. So why do you think someone would pay so much for artwork? Right, this is a question. You are asking yourself, okay, why do you think someone would pay so much for artwork? Now you have to switch the role. And now suppose that you are not the person who asked you or the person who questioned you. You're not that person. Now you are your colleague or you are your partner. So start talking about or start providing answer to this question. So you can say that, okay, someone would pay so much for artwork. So you can say, oh, because artwork is so much natural. If it is natural, I really love to pay a lot. And people really laugh, for example, to pay for that. So, I mean, you can provide any types of answers or any type of answer you want, depending upon your will, depending upon your notion and opinion, depending upon your perception of the question. That is up to you. And second, if you had enough money, would you spend that much on a painting or a sculpture? So first of all, you're asking yourself. Then again, it's switching the role. Suppose that now you are providing answer to another person. Then you are simply providing answer to these questions. Down here, look at the list of art forms below and add any others that you can think of the list. Right, this is quite easy. So we have got a list of artistic works here. Then you have to add some other, for example, pieces of artistic work to these numbers. For example, we have got architecture, ballet, it is not pronounced, classical music, hip hop, jazz, modern dance, oil painting, opera, poetry, sculpture, watercolor painting. So here you have been given three blank spaces. So you have to fill these three blank spaces. I mean, you have to guess or you have to think of three other artistic works and you have to fill these blank spaces. So number one here also you have got some question. Which of the art forms above are you interested in? So again, as you are doing, or as I mentioned you, the way you're doing above, so here you're doing the same thing. So first you're asking yourself and second you're also answering yourself. It's simply switching the rule. Number two, do you enjoy going to the art museum? So first you ask the question from yourself and then stick to the question and provide answers to these questions. So number two, listening. So here you have got listening practice. In listening practice, so I have already given you the audios. So again, I'm trying to actually share the audios with you again. So what you're doing is you are simply finding the audios, you are playing the audios. in your listening to the audios and following are the questions. So accordingly, you have to provide answers to the following questions. So here, this is the instruction. Look at these paintings. So you have got two paintings here. One of them is the real Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci, and the other is a forgery. See, two pictures or two photos are here, or two paintings are here. So one of them is basically the original one, and the second one is in actual fact the forged or the copy of the original one. So can you tell which one is the real Mona Lisa? The answer is at the bottom of the page. So before referring to the bottom of the page, just look at the two paintings and see which one is in your opinion, the original one, and which one is the forged one or the copy of the original one. So probably that is clear to you. I mean, that is not a big deal, but the overall intention of such questions is so basically to get you involved in speaking. So down here, now you have got some questions. You are going to hear a conversation about art forgeries. Before you listen, discuss this question with a partner. So now you're not listening to the audio. Before listening to the audio, these are the questions. You have to go through the questions, and these questions probably give you some pre-assumption or give you some pre-information about what the conversation is going to be about. Number one, why would someone paint a forgery of a famous painting? Right? The reason why people are actually forging while people are producing the fake, for example, copy, or we can say duplicate of a painting. So if you are just having this question in mind while you're listening to the audio, you are probably able to find answer to these questions. Number two, how do you think an art expert can tell the difference between an original piece of art and a forgery? So the main idea or the theme of this question is how is it possible to distinguish between, for example, a forgery and the original piece? So if you have this question again in your mind, it is very easy for you to draw or extract the answer of this question from the conversation. So here we have got listening for main ideas. So here you have got a listening. Please play audio 9. So you're playing audio 9. Now the instruction is listen to the conversation. Then answer the questions. Compare your answers with a partner. Again, because you do not have any partner, you have got two questions here. You are expected to provide answers to these two questions. What was the TV program about? Right. So you have listened to an audio that was presented in a TV program. Then basically the question is on what was the TV program about. So you can say, okay, the TV program was about painting, about forgery, or about, for example, forging the artistic piece of work or something like that. Why is it sometimes difficult to tell the difference between an original piece of art and a forgery? Just look for the answers of this question in the audio or in the TV program. Now, come to part C here again. Audio 9 continues. Exactly. Audio 9 starts from here. Listening for more details here. So in the above case, you just listen for the main ideas. You provided a general picture, or you provided the overall picture for the, for example, for that program. But down here, you are listening to the details. So it means that you're going through details, and when you're going through details, there are lots of minor details that you have to be able to actually listen to every piece of conversation, to every word of conversation, and you have to pay attention to every sentence. So any detail or details given, you have to pay attention to them. So listen to the conversation again. Write T for true or A for false for each statement. Then compare answers with a partner. Listen again if necessary. So since you do not have any partner, you're listening to the audio, and the statements you think are correct, you're simply putting T. In the sentences you think are false or wrong according to the audio or according to the conversation, you're simply putting F. T stands for true and F stands for false. So you have to cross check. I mean, you have to make sure that the way you have actually have put if or to, they're actually correct. For the way you have written, they are correct. Down here, work in pairs, discuss why false statements are false, right? So you have actually written T and or you have written if. So you should have some reasons. You have to be able to actually say why it is wrong and why it is right. Now in part D, thinking and speaking. Here you think and speak. Work in pairs again because you do not have any pair there. I mean, you do not have any colleague or partner. Discuss this question. Simply discuss with yourself. In your own words, explain some of the ways that Art Express can detect a forgery. It is really possible to detect a forgery or to distinguish between a forgery and between a forgery and the original copy. So you have to think about that and you have to actually produce answers to these questions of your own. Have you ever bought a piece of artwork? So this is quite personal. What is it? Where did you get it? So you have to provide answers to these three questions. And do you admire forgers? Why or why not? That is again up to you. You have to think and provide answers. But here you're not actually writing the answers, you're speaking. So here we have got part E. Focus on the listening skills or skill, reflecting on listening. So how we're thinking about listening. So the author says listening skills. It is helpful to think about what skills are necessary to be a good listener and to practice these skills as much as possible. The author says, optionally, you as listener think what things are really necessary to you. What, for example, activities do you really need to follow as listeners in order to improve your listening skill? This is up to you. This will improve your ability to understand what others are saying and will make you feel more confident when listening. All right. For example, you definitely know that okay, I have problem understanding native speakers. Now we have to practice a lot. Or for example, you can say that okay, I don't know, for example, the meaning of some words. Now you have to look for some strategies or some, for example, activities. So simply you can guess the meaning of the words from the context. So these are the things that if you make yourself aware of what you have problem, then in the course of the time you will definitely develop or improve your listening skill because you are making yourself aware of your problems. Then in the course of the time systematically you will be working on your problems. Then as a result you will find solution to your problem. So here, part one, work with a partner, discuss the following questions. Again, here you have got some questions. Because you do not have any partner, you ask the questions and then you are providing answer to the questions. So down here, number two, look at the following strategies for becoming a better listener. Then look back at section A through D on page 12 and 13. Which strategy did you use in each section? For example, when you listen, focus on the main ideas, not the details. Right. So which section we did this one? It was quite clear, right? So that was section B above. If you go back, so there the instruction was listen for main ideas. It was simply you are providing the general idea of what the conversation was about or the topic generally. So again, you are working down here up to vocabulary. So here, number three, vocabulary, words related to art crimes or crime. Here, you have got some words that they are really bold. So you are just thinking of these words. Now, this is the instruction. Read the sentences, match each word in bold with the definition below. See, these are the words in bold. For example, the words in bold are authentic, reputable, counterfeit, and then forgery, detect. So we have got five definitions down here. For example, not real, a fake, a copy that is presented as something it is not in order in order to trick people. Or C, trustworthy, honest, having a good reputation, find, discover, and genuine, real, true. So we have got five definitions here. You have to match the definitions with each word in bold above here. So simply put there. For example, the first one has been done for you. I have done the first one. So here, buying diamonds buying diamonds ourselves, we couldn't tell if they were authentic or not. They might not be real. So authentic, we don't know the meaning. So how can we guess the meaning? So we guessed that, okay, buying diamonds ourselves, we couldn't tell if they were authentic or not. So when we are buying diamonds, so basically we are concerned with whether it is original or not. Down here, they might not be real. If you're saying real, oh, it is related to something being real or unreal. So authentic, basically, I have put da here. Da or D is this one. Genuine, real, or true. So now the meaning of authentic, or the definition of authentic, is genuine, real, or true. You're also working this way. So here we have got read the text about the famous forger. Fill in the blank with one of the underlined words above. So we have studied 6 words or 5 words above. Now we have a text. This text is about a very famous forger that he is actually forging the artistic works of the others. So we have got some blank spaces. You have to fill the blank spaces with appropriate 5 words that we have worked on above. So down here, work with a partner and answer the following questions. Why did Han, Von, or Megran become famous? So according to the above text or the text in the chart, you have to provide answer to this question. Number 2, Han von Meegeren painted forgeries to embrace art crisis. How did his forgery embrace the crisis again? According to the text, you have to provide answers to these questions. So now we stop at listening 4. So here, listening practice. Now, what is the instruction, guys? See, I am sharing the audio with you. So you have to go through each audio. Specifically, we had some exercises where you were listening to the audios. You do not need to actually transcribe them right now, but you have to provide appropriate answers to these questions. For example, here listening for main ideas, you have to provide answers to these 2 questions exactly. And down here, you have to provide answers. I mean, you have to guess whether these statements are true or not on the basis of the conversation. So in case you have problem understanding or grasping the idea in the conversation, you have to listen to the conversation for multiple times. This is not important. So the ultimate goal is to understand something, to get something from the conversation. You should not stop actually listening to conversation once. You have to continue listening to conversation as long as you have problem understanding the content or understanding, for example, the aspects of this particular conversation. So specifically on listening section. And moreover, any questions down here, for example, which have been given to you, you have to work on them. So once we are meeting each other, I will definitely check every individual sentence or every individual answer questions that you have provided answer. Make sure that you are working on them, please. So in case you are not working, even you have to work on your vocabulary book. I already told you, you have to fill in the blank spaces, you have to use those words in sentences, and if there are some blank spaces, you have to employ these words in order to fill in the blank spaces, please. So here again, whatever we have, you have to do the exercises, okay? So thank you very much. We stop at page 16 here, listening practice. Okay, wish you all the best, guys. Bye bye. See you.